Hi, I'm Leah DeChico-Ramu. Welcome. This is Teacher Talk.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're joining me today for the very first episode of How to Talk to Teachers, Teacher Talk. I'm going to be bringing you more and more of these to help you better understand what your child does at school all day and how you could best support partnership with their teachers. We're going to go right to the heart of things today, starting with the teacher. Do we really know what teachers do? Simply, what's their job? What don't they do? Now, keep in mind that the role of the teacher can vary from country to country, and today we're focusing on Canada, and in particular, Ontario. I've asked one of my absolute favorite teachers, Ms. Zelia Capital-Taveras, to help us today. Let me tell you a little bit more about Zelia because she's exceptional. So here we go. She's a teacher at McMurray Junior Public School in the Toronto District School Board, where she empowers students to become entrepreneurs through the McMurray Business Day program. Let's talk a little bit more about that because that's above and beyond. She holds a Master's of Education from the University of Toronto and was nominated for the Prime Minister's Award of Teaching Excellence and is a recipient of the BMO Financial Group National Student Innovation Award. With more than 15 years of experience of innovating in education, Zelia believes that we need to find the spark in each student and step aside to let them shine. That's my kind of gal. Okay, Zelia, welcome. Congratulations on all your achievements, and thank you for all the work that you do for students. I know you go above and beyond because I visited your classroom and I see the environment that you created, the absolute care you put into your work, the care you have for the kids, and just your general excellence as a teacher. So hello, Zelia.
Leah, how are you? I miss seeing your face up close, but this is the best alternative that's out there, seeing you again like this and following all the amazing work you're doing. And congratulations to you on your new book. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Wow. And thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you. And you're welcome for the community that we've built together. So not a welcome from me, a welcome from all of us, because I know there's many of us across Canada who have done incredible work together. And I'm really proud of that work. And you're an exemplary part of that, as I mentioned. So let's dive in with a couple of questions and let's help out the parents here because, what is your formal job description? Let's talk formalities. Can you share what teachers are mandated to do by the Ministry of Education? So what are their deliverables, so to speak? What is that? Because there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of expectations, and I'd like to demystify that a little bit so we can have some clarity and again, really strengthen and enlighten those relationships that we can have with our parents.
Well, really, to answer that question, it's just one statement. We are assigned a teaching assignment. So I have grade 4 this school year, and we follow the Ontario curriculum. And we refer to those Ontario curriculum documents, which are available on the Ministry of Education website. That's it in a nutshell. So that sounds so simple. Then you look at these curriculum documents that are many pages long, many documents, and of which the language, math, science, and social studies are all new curriculum documents in the past 4 years that have been updated by the ministry that we are expected to refer to and to deliver upon in our class community. And within all of the academic aspect of the curriculum, focusing as well on equity, the social emotional learning, and creating experiential learning for our students as well.
Okay, Zelia, thank you. So I'm going to drill down a little bit because I'm going to play the part of a parent here. So let's say I went to the ministry site and I downloaded these talk documents, these curriculum documents, and I'm just like, okay, what is this, right? I know that teachers, we're trained and we understand where to go from that list of things. And parents are like, okay, how do we translate what we're seeing in those government documents to what actually happens in the classroom? Because it's a list of things. Teachers do it differently. And I want to know a little bit more about how a teacher takes that information, right? Because the ministries will give you these guidelines and then it's kind of hands off, right? And then what happens, I can close my door and I can literally play movies all day, right? So I think parents
You,
need to
you
understand.
could, if that hopefully would yield some kind of learning that students are able to retain and then transfer that learning into other experiences. And there may be an appropriate time and place for that, but I wouldn't say that's the way to go. I do appreciate having the autonomy to decide on how to deliver the content that is provided to us in those curriculum documents to
Mhm.
create learning experiences for the students and cluster the expectations, but and not only just cluster the expectations of a specific subject, but cross curricular. So look for things that we could bring together and create a lesson or lessons, activities, centers on site or in our schoolyard or on a field trip, off-site learning experiences that look at and embed these different expectations, and students get learning from doing, learning from listening through stories or listening from experts or guest speakers. So that's what's great about having the autonomy. You could decide as an educator how you're going to go about exposing students to these expectations, and then through those experiences, how they are going to demonstrate their understanding and learning of what those experiences were all about, and how they can transfer that learning into new experiences to show that they've able to apply those expectations.
Thank you, Zalia. That's what I was hoping to elicit from you, because I think the key to helping parents understand that outcome, you have an outcome, you have a curricular, you have an outcome, is the autonomy, you use that word, and the delivery of that expectation that you see in that curriculum document. How is the teacher going to deliver that? What programming or lesson plan or a series of lessons or unit plan are they going to create in order to deliver that curricular outcome that's outlined by the Ministry of Education? So the Ministry of Education says you're in grade 1, you're going to learn how to spell cat. That's all the ministry will tell you. That's not what the ministry says, but just for simplicity.
Mhm, mhm.
Up to the teacher to figure out, how am I going to get this child to spell cat? Am I going to sing a song? Are we going to go for a walk? Are we going to do a PlayStation? Am I going to watch a movie? Sometimes the movie's great. Am I going to use technology? That's a hot button, especially with the announcement this week. What am I going to do as a teacher to fulfill that curricular expectation? And that's the breadth, and I think the beauty of being a teacher, because you have the creativity to do that in a way that's going to land with your kids so they can apply it to learning. And you do that beautifully. Like you said, you use varied, you use different things, you meet children where they are, you do that lovely. So I know we're straying a little bit, but I'd love to hear an example of how you do that. I mean, I've been to your classroom, so I've seen it, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but tell me a bit about the business program. I mean, you've extended what you do as a teacher, because that's not part of what you're supposed to be doing, right? That's something that you've created. And if you want to tell me a bit about that, I'd love to hear more if you're okay with that.
So, yeah, we just celebrated our 20th year of this inquiry based project, Business Day. How exciting is that? Where students learn about entrepreneurship and starting up a small business. And each year it just gets better. The student feedback we receive and we apply each year to make it more meaningful to them really helps drive this inquiry based project. And it just infuses beautifully the language, the math, the sciences, the social studies, the arts. We were able to bring in experts from the community to talk about marketing, product development, cost analysis. We even bring guests from the bank to talk about how to submit a business plan and apply for a loan if you were to actually do that. As well as for me, which I find really valuable, and our students do as well, we invite our parents and our families in the community to come and talk about their own expertise as business owners or as a manager or as an entrepreneur, someone who's a startup. And so when students are seeing their own families in a different light, they have that growing appreciation of, wow, that's what they're really doing. They're not just mom, dad, auntie, uncle. They are their own people outside of what we see them as. And so students start to see and appreciate that as well. And the entrepreneurship project just continues to grow, and their creativity to find a STEM inspired product as well as researching a charity that they want to donate all their proceeds to. And so each business reaches out to a charity and they interview the members from the charity and come to a decision or a consensus as a team of who they would like to donate all of their proceeds. So it has grown. It's a 4-month project, our entire second term, really, going on this journey. And so when I say, blending and having the autonomy to create this, we're kind of doing it under the umbrella of this entrepreneurship project, but we're hitting clusters of expectations from the curriculum in that journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bingo. So that's a really great example of what parents don't know that you're doing, right? And that parents can connect to and say, oh, I understand that, because it is connected to the world outside of the classroom. It's connected to what they understand is the world of work, right? And you're preparing kids for the world of work, and we all have to contribute. So I applaud this work. And we use words like cross-curricular and STEM, and sometimes parents don't know what that means. So let's clarify just a bit, okay? So curricular means I teach math for an hour, I teach English for an hour, I teach gym for an hour, and it's it's siloed. Cross-curricular, which what you've done with your business program, is that you have, or project-based, if you want to call project-based,
Mhm.
that one program or that one topic, and within that topic, you are hitting the curricular outcomes of math, English, science, gym, within that theme, which is really great for kids. I think that's fantastic and a fantastic approach, because they're learning, but they're not sitting there like, I'm doing my spelling. It's applied. So it's fantastic. So I wanted you to talk about that so parents know that teachers go above and beyond to create these programs. And you're one of those teachers that does that. So thank you. So, because we don't really know what the teacher does, right? So let's get down to, and your classroom, again, because of the way you've set it up and your own autonomy might be different and will be different from other teachers' classrooms. But I want to get a sense a little bit of what's your typical day? What is the typical day of a teacher? What does that look like?
What does that look like? Um, it's hard to go right into a typical day because we're missing what happens what happens before the first day of school, right? Because I've already been in school this week and a few days last week just to set up. So unpacking the classroom, organizing materials, supplies, and equipment. And I really just want to put that out there. Like, these are things that don't happen within the instructional day. This is like all leading up to the first day of school, for example. I had the pleasure yesterday calling all my families and introducing myself and introducing what our program is going to be about and the best way for parent communication throughout the school year. And that took time to do that and to arrange that. I already have had meetings with teachers to plan and find opportunities for collaboration to start the school year and things we might do throughout the school year. Lesson plans and contingency plans in case of absence. That's already been organized for startup. Um, Already working on individual education plans for students and reviewing all of those forms to ensure that I'm getting to know my students if they have an IEP, and best ways for me to support them on the first day of school so that they're feeling safe and comfortable. Like, everyone's going to feel a certain amount of stress coming
Yep.
into school, but I want to do the best I can to acknowledge that I see you, you are here, and I got your back. And that was also a big part of why I was calling the family so that they can reassure their child that I know their name and we're going to connect and this is where we're going to meet and this is what our day is going to look like. Setting up the classroom, right? So setting up our reading nook, setting up our tech hub area, resetting all the student classroom passwords for the tech that they're going to be using, arranging all of the furniture for the classroom, requesting furniture based on class size or student needs. That's all happening on these days leading up to the first day of school.
Mhm.
And a few of us have already started arranging guest speakers, workshops for virtual workshops for our class, planning when we're going to have our extracurricular clubs or teams, and
Mhm.
field trips. That's already all in the plan, already starting to populate on our school calendar. So these are just a few things that have been happening these few days leading up to the first day of school, which is next week on Tuesday, right? So then going back to your question on like what does a typical day look like, you know, arriving early to school. So it'll range. So this is, I'm speaking about myself, right? So it'll range from teacher to teacher based on their ability and availability. So I'm able to show up early to school and I begin to set up my centers for the day and ensure that all the materials are there. I take the opportunity to check my email to see if I've received any messages from parents or guardians who have reached out. Or at times that may lead to a parent conference, either that morning before school starts or I set up an appointment for the next day. And I also like to do a quick touch base with colleagues in the hallway. It is so valuable to just connect with another teacher in the hallway. How are you doing? What are you up to today? Can we talk? Can we meet? That kind of thing. Because our neighbors, our teachers in the hallway are like our best resource because they're in there with you day to day. From there, we pick up our classes, we go outside, we come into the building, and as they unpack their things in the hallway, I'm at the door greeting them as they come in. Good morning, how are you? So great to see you. Just to acknowledge each person as they come in each morning. They come in, they're silently reading. And then our day begins. Whatever lessons have been designed for the day or throughout the day, again, they are mostly cross-curricular, unless they're focused lessons that based on rote skills that we need to develop or introduce as something new based on the curriculum, then it'll be like a focused language lesson or maybe a focused model math lesson. But it'll look different from a modeled lesson to a guided lesson to exploratory activities, leading up to independent or group work lessons that the students will lead and thrive on their own. Our school day of the 3 recesses, one of those, we're doing yard duty. We're out there with the students, supervising, ensuring they're safe, catching up with former students and just having a great time. That's all part of our day. Our day wraps up with a closing message and then organizing which students are going to take the bus, make sure they're there, which students are going to the after school program, make sure they're going there, and who's getting picked up and are they picked up safely and where they need to be as well. And so that's just that. I'm just going to catch my breath for a moment. Whew.
Please do.
Right? So that sounds really simple, right? And it's really not that simple because from there, what I'm not saying and what most people don't see are the check-ins with students throughout the day. How are they
Mhm.
doing? So you're checking in on their emotional capacity. Are they feeling joy? Are they feeling confidence? Are they feeling stress? And how are they managing that stress, or how's it manifesting itself? Pulling aside small groups for conferencing based on task or need, walking around as a teacher, collecting anecdotal notes throughout the day. So then after school, we're organizing all of those notes. We're reflecting on the day's activities, what worked, what we need to adjust for next time. We're referring to the curriculum documents and facilitating opportunities and looking at, which I know you're going to appreciate, how we're infusing global competencies, the global goals, or also known as the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and how we might use design thinking process to guide students in sharing their learning, prepare the materials for the next day, and rinse and repeat, that kind of thing.
Azalea, you're amazing. And you've given us some insight into sort of the organizational things that you need to do to keep your classroom running, right? It's like having a kitchen stocked. You
Yeah.
have to constantly make sure that kitchen is stocked. And then, okay, I'm Italian, it's all about cooking and food for me. And then it's like, are the children eating? Right? So you've got the organizational stuff, you've got the care of the children, because mental health is critical right now. We got to make sure that these kids are okay. That's a lot of energy, right? Keep the machine going, make sure that it's working and the kids are fine. What you've missed, and what I think is really hidden, and I know you do this seamlessly, which is probably why you didn't mention it, because for you, it's like, I just do that because you're seasoned and you're an excellent teacher, is the amount of time that goes into planning instruction. The amount of time that goes into building your lesson plans, your units, what we were just talking about, how are you going to deliver all of that goodness in the way you prefer that's going to land with your kids that the ministry tells you that you have to do? That's collecting resources. That's sitting at your computer and creating those lesson plans that unit plans. That's thinking about how they're going to be cross-curricular. That takes a lot of work. That does not happen. This is what the takeaway is, parents. That does not happen during the day when you're making sure the machine is running and that the kids are being fed, so to speak, and are happy and joyful. So please, I'd like you to honor all of the work that you do and many, many, many teachers do to make sure that what they are delivering in that functional, happy, joyful, calm, serene machine where a student can be their best selves, that's a lot of work. That happens at night. That happens if you have a teacher. If you're in high school, you have a bit more time. But if you're in the primary panel, the junior panel, you get 1 hour, right, to sort of plan. And then there's marking. There's a lot of
Marking.
there's administrative stuff. Then you got to report into the principal's office, and you got to coach a team, and there's a lot to do. So I'm trying to demystify and break down any myths around what teachers do from 8:30 to 3:30, because it doesn't stop from 8:30 for really good teachers. And you are one of them.
And it's not that it doesn't stop, it's that it can be interrupted. It can also be interrupted. And so whatever lesson plan you have might be completely derailed or paused due to interruptions like a fire drill, a lockdown practice, or because, we're being responsive to the overall class climate and world events that are happening. And so we need to pause and reflect and check in on our students based on that, as well as time to support students who are feeling overwhelmed. And this may look different from one student to another, right? Like their emotional needs, a tantrum, crying, isolating themselves. And they need the teacher there for them to either just to self-regulate, to reconnect with themselves and just refocus. So what's happening to the rest of the class? So we need to establish those routines early in the school year so that the rest of the class is, on task and being safe, while we're supporting those who need our undivided attention for longer periods of time. So those are all things that are happening in the day that don't come out across on a lesson plan or don't come across in a curriculum document. So being responsive to those events in our class and world events are really important.
Thank you for sharing that, Zella. Teachers have to have so many competencies. And I think, again, that's what I'd like people to understand. So yes, there's the organizational, there's the administrative, there's setting up your classrooms, all that stuff, again, to keep the machine running. But there's the human element that a teacher brings their full spirit, their full heart to their classroom. I keep saying this, but I know that you do. And I really want parents to know that it's, again, beyond the 8:30 to 3:30, I shut my door and I go home. There are some teachers that do that. Let's call a spade. I've seen it. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that people understand the work that's involved in teaching and the work that you and many, many others do day in, day out, and the stress that comes with that. And I'm trying to help parents understand that compassion is in order sometimes, because it's a tough job.
Yeah.
It's a really tough job. And they're holding space for our children's spirit, right? I think it's really important. So there's organizational, there's the emotional part of the child, there's the administrative stuff that you got to do. There's your curricular outcome deliveries that you have to finish by the end of the year. Okay, that's a deadline. You have to. Otherwise, that kid goes into the next grade not having been taught all of the lessons that they were supposed to be taught in the previous year. And
Which
the
is
kids
important.
miss out.
Right, because it's all scaffolded. Each year is scaffolded upon the previous one, right? So that building blocks and having those things in place are really important for our students.
Yeah, so let's give the parents an example. Kids need to learn how to add, okay? So they can learn how to multiply. So what if the teacher in grade 1 and grade 2 doesn't finish the unit on addition? That kid's going to suffer, right? Or there has to be other supports to make sure that child steps up. So
Right.
meeting your deliverables for those curricular outcomes are really, really important. Again, administration, instruction, organization, SEL, so the emotional needs of the child, right? And your curricular deliverables. And then add on coaching, interrupted during the day, all that stuff, marking, planning, all that stuff. It's a big job, right? So let's be really clear. It's not, oh, I drop off my kid at school, the teacher does this, and this, and the teacher goes home. Meetings, right? If you're team teaching, meetings with other teachers, and always, always, always trying to know what's going on outside in the world, to bring that into your classroom, being aware, sourcing research. It's just, I applaud you, the work that you do. Okay, now, we talked about emotional, and you talked a little bit about making sure that the kids are okay. So that seems to be your approach to these kids. How do you navigate when you feel that, okay, this is outside of my wheelhouse? Do you connect with the parents? How do you, when a kid is in crisis, for example, or has had a bad day, how do you navigate that? Can you share an example of how you would navigate? Because, again, it's a tough time. Tough time for parents, tough time for kids. COVID hangover, I've used that word. Kids are in a tight spot. So how do you help kids feel safe and help them navigate a day when they're a little bit off? What are the flags?
So again, it'll range based on the student's needs in from year to year. So getting to know the students early in the year is really important. And not just having whole class, but like small group and one-on-one conferencing with the students to kind of get to know them. I, I find with my students, they appreciate when I show some vulnerability myself, right? Because you have to build that sense of trust. And I share what my struggles are and strategies that I use to overcome them. And when they start saying, like, oh, people do apply these strategies as grown-ups, then maybe I should try some strategies that have worked for me, or maybe some new ones to help myself self-regulate my emotions and my feelings, and working through stressors during the school day or at home that come into the school day, right? And so giving them that vocabulary to help unpack what they're feeling, sometimes just giving them space. So in our class community, we have flexible seating, and we also have two areas. So if a student just needs to go hide in a dark corner just to kind of cover themselves and kind of close off for a moment, put on noise cancellation headset, they can do that. And we talk as a class community about the importance of giving that person space. But we also do that in a way so that they have time, but the expectation is that they would come back out. And if they're unable to come back out, then we come up with a plan. We discuss, what can we do at that time? And how can I better support you when you feel that you've had some time and you're not quite ready yet? Where do we go from there? And we share that plan with families so that they're aware that, our school day looked a little different today because we were having difficulty self-regulating. We're having a moment dealing with some other emotions or the stressors of the day. And I feel the more that parents are informed through these situations, the better understanding and partnering we could do together to support the student, their child. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. I think that's what I'm advocating for, is this partnership between parents and teachers. I know that teachers do it differently, and everybody has is where they're at. We meet people where they're at. But again, you are an example of bringing the humanness to this situation, right? So teachers really have to open their hearts and bring their humanness and their vulnerability. And that speaks to where you are in your stage of learning as a teacher. You're not that stage on the stage. We talk about the boss, right? You meet them where they're at with your own open heart and your own vulnerability. And I think that's key if you're going to really, really connect with the kids. Unfortunately, some parents can be bitter, shall we say, about, oh, they have their summers off. They don't work and they have their summers off, right? And again, teachers deliver curriculum differently. So 2 questions. What do you do during the summer? Because I know what teachers, let me start this differently, if that's okay. Teachers are supposed to be lifelong learners. And you touched on this a little bit around, I'm always looking at the end of the day what I did. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then what do teachers do during the summer? Good teachers are never stop working, in my mind. You're always thinking. So I'd like your take on that. And I think I'd like to close with, if you're a parent and you're not seeing what you'd like to see in terms of all the things we talked about, and of course you're the golden child because you do all these wonderful things, how do you approach a teacher to have the conversation in a kind, gentle, respectful way and say, hey, what are you doing about this, and how can we do this, more of this, and what is your approach to this? Because you know what, I want to underscore, the teachers are learning too. So a first-year teacher is not going to be as seasoned as a 20-year teacher, and we're all learning. And if you can help the teacher and say, hey, this would really be helpful for my child, how do we incorporate that into the classroom? And then, of course, the teacher has to be open to that, right? No, right? How do we do that? So what do you do during the summer? Let's demystify summers for people, because, there's nothing wrong with having a holiday. Everybody gets a holiday, right? geez, after like June, teachers are so burnt out, right? Of all that stuff you've been doing and all that energy you've been expecting. So let's give them a holiday. But I know what good teachers do. Sure enough, they read books. Hopefully they'll read mine.
Definitely.
You know, they, so can you, what, that's a big question and it may be sort of diluted and all over the place, but there's a point I'm trying to get at. And I want to
Yes.
be fair. Right? I really want to be fair. You know, I love teachers. I'm not gonna pretend I don't love teachers, but I also want to make sure that it's a balanced view of what parents don't like.
Right.
So we can come to sort of a new understanding and a
Understanding.
new, yes.
Well, I'm a 10-month employee. That's what it comes down to, right? So let's just put that out there. Teachers are a 10-month employee. And earlier in my career, I taught summer school. So that was paid time. I would teach summer school. I taught a July session. I taught an August session. And then, as the years went on, I explored and tried out different things. So during these 2 months, for example, I took time for myself and a whole lot of time to be with my own family, kind of making up for lost time from the school year. And that was due to work related tasks, especially working late evenings and weekends. So I made up for some of that lost time. I also chose to do professional development this summer, as I do most summers, and work on the looking and reviewing the curriculum on my own. So just to add, many of the educators I mentioned earlier, the first week of summer are packing up their classrooms, right?
Mhm.
And a week or two before school starts are unpacking their classrooms. So it's not even a true 2 months for many educators as we're doing that kind of work and unpaid work. Let's be honest, that we're doing to ensure that our classrooms are ready to go. So I do use my summer to reimagine the instructional practices that I've been putting into place and how I'm going to look at the learning experiences I've created for students and find new ways to build relationships, focusing on how we're going to, I say we, like myself and other educators, support each other as educators and support our students. So it takes time to curate these learning experiences and to find ways to engage, like these engaging lessons that are collaborative, that are inquiry based, that focus on, potential world problems and solutions that allow students to be creative and innovative. So, what did I do to seek out this summer? I'm taking part in a Canadian focus, the C21 and Dell initiative, focusing on integrating AI in education. So, I'm doing a case study that I'm going to be doing the first few months of school, focusing on STEM and AI in the elementary classroom. So, I went to those workshops and connected with educators across Canada, so in preparation for this case study. Um, I presented at the OSEA virtual conference, the Ontario Schools Esports Association Esports and Education Conference that was held in July, and sharing about our Girls Who Game esports team and participating in the OSEA esports events in the spring, as well as highlighting our first, it was really exciting. Last year, we have our first school esports team in the junior grades. So that was really cool as well. And that's all new learning experiences for our school community and for myself as an educator. Um, I was so excited as a coach, took my Girls Who Game esports team of grade 4 and 6 students to do a live esports challenge or demonstration at the Serious Play conference that was held at the University of Toronto earlier this month. That was really exciting. So, still meeting with students and still looking for leadership opportunities for our students over the summer break, and really grateful for our parents' support to allow this to be facilitated, right? So, that's why I feel parent partnership is so important, because I can't demo an esports team event. I need my students there. But for my students to be there, I need my parents' support as well. And so I really appreciate their understanding in all of that. And then there were other workshops and webinars that I attended and presented at, showcasing the amazing work that's happening at the Royal Ontario Museum through Hack the ROM and the Minecraft Rocks and Minerals project. So they have amazing things going on there. And that's just a few examples of my summer. So does that sound like a summer break? I don't know.
But that's what I want parents to understand, right? That you're doing all this stuff, that technically you're not getting paid for,
No.
technically, but you're still doing all this wonderful. And shout out to Katina Popolka because she's a superstar. And I'm glad that you're working on the esports stuff and the AI stuff. And again, these are new things that are coming into the classroom and into the world that you're learning about so you can bring them into for your kids, right? So that's what happens over the summer, parents. Teachers, good teachers, are learning to bring that back to your kids. And Zelia, again, I'm tired just listening to you. I know you don't stop, and you're really passionate about what you do, and that comes to the kids. And I think we can sort of wrap up by saying a good teacher uses their brain, their muscles, because you're constantly lifting boxes, and sometimes children, right, for the younger grades, but also your heart. And you do that beautifully. So congratulations to you. Thank you for all the work that you do and helping us understand that teaching is not an 8:30 to 3:30 job, that there's a lot that goes on before you show up. Because when you show up, it's showtime. Sometimes showtime gets interrupted, but before showtime, there's tons of prep, there's tons of balls in the air. Head, heart, muscles, all working together so you can give kids the best experience that they can have, and they can shine and be their best selves. They can soar and contribute to humanity in their best, full of light ways. I think we agree on that one.
Yes, absolutely. And really, it's not done alone, right? And the parent support and understanding through all of this is really appreciated. And opportunities that you're providing to share this information with them helps them navigate all of that as well. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, because I think that's what you want parents to know, right? You want parents to know that you want to work with them. It's important that we work together. Fair?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Zelia, you are a superstar. Thank you so much for your time. I know that you're putting your classroom together today. I wish you and your students the very best of luck on the first day. A safe, happy, healthy, joyful, learning-filled new year. And I'm sure we're going to see each other soon. You're a wonderful person, a wonderful friend, and just a great spirit, and really, really such an asset to the profession for all teachers and a leader across Canada. Thank you, Zelia.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for all your hard work and your ongoing support and your inspiration. Can't wait to connect again.